Welcome back to the Everyday Ummer podcast. Today we're going to be talking about a quick little life update, and then we're going to get into just some safety myths, things that we tend to hear that maybe aren't fully accurate or maybe are just kind of impractical. And I'm going to break down where my passion for debunking these myths really came from. But again, before we get into all of that, I do want to give a quick little life update. So over the weekend, I'm recording on a Tuesday, and on Saturday, I got engaged. So I'm going to give you the quick little story on how it happened, and then again, we'll get into the safety myths. So on Friday night, my boyfriend and I were like, okay, let's go to Topgolf. And just as like a little backstory, we've been together for 4 years. We've lived in like 3 different states. So I've kind of known it was coming. And for the last couple of months, he got my ring custom made. So like several months ago, he was asking me like little questions about it and double, triple, quadruple checking my size and everything. So when it came to, really to like the last couple of months, there's been a couple times I've been like, okay, could it be happening here? But I don't know. I think that like to me, getting engaged is such an exciting thing. And there isn't like a certain way I need it or wanted it to be done. And like we went to Mexico. I was so excited to go to Mexico separate and to get engaged. So both those things are super exciting. So it was like, I just didn't know when it was going to happen. And I always kind of be like, okay, could it be this? Could it be that? But on Friday, we're going out of town in like a week. So I was like, maybe it's going to happen before then. Well, on Friday, we were going to go to Topgolf. The only reservation they had was 9:45 at night. So we were like, that's just too late. So let's do it on Saturday. So this was super organic. It was my idea to go to Topgolf. So we book it for Saturday at like 7. And the UFC was on, and my boyfriend really wanted to watch UFC. So it literally just, the plan came together perfectly, and I kind of led the charge on it. So I'm not really thinking anything would happen. This was Friday evening. We made these plans. Saturday, we go to get ready, and he was like, okay, well, I'm going to wear something kind of nice in case we want to go out after. And at first I was kind of like, okay, well, he normally doesn't wear nice clothes. But then I was like, well, maybe he does like want to go out after. And sometimes you have to wear nice stuff to get into places on the strip, especially. So I was like, okay, Kailee, take your opportunity to maybe get to go out, have some drinks, stay out a little later than we normally do, and like don't say anything or push back. So I go get changed, and again, like these Topgolf plans I created. So I wasn't thinking at all whatsoever that it wouldn't be Topgolf. And I brought a change of shoes. I wore like a nice pair because we went and got dinner beforehand, and then we were going to go out after, I thought. So we get to the Red Rock Casino, and we went, like one of our favorite sushi spots is in the casino. So we go get sushi. We're just having some drinks, and I started to kind of notice that he was going to the bathroom a lot. And he has a tiny bladder. He always has to go to the bathroom. So I wasn't really thinking anything of it, but I actually, and like truly, it did not even cross my mind that it would have anything to do with like getting engaged. So I told him, I was like, we honestly might want to like get it checked. Like, do you think everything's okay with your bladder? And he was like, yeah, no, I think I'm good. Wasn't jittery all day, like didn't seem nervous to me. And the last like 30 minutes before we left, I did really notice like he was going to the bathroom a lot. And that's actually when I brought up like, are you sure? Should we get this checked? And he's like, no, it's good. And then he was like, let's leave to go to Topgolf. Well, we were leaving from the Red Rock Casino, and that's not like, we don't live like right around there. So I don't really know exactly how to get to the strip from Red Rock. So we get on the freeway. I see that we're headed towards the strip. I'd had a couple tequilas, so I'm not fully paying attention. And at some point, we got off on an exit, which also a lot of times we'll take back roads to get to the strip. We get off on an exit, and all of a sudden, I'm just chatting away. And then I see these townhouses, and I was like, oh, those are really cute. And then I was like, where the fuck are we? Like, I don't even see the strip. And he was like, oh, yeah, we're not going to go to Topgolf. We're actually going to go do something at the airport. And I was like, the airport? There's this little tiny airport I didn't even know was there right in front of us. Well, we've done multiple helicopter rides. When we first started dating in Nashville, we did a whole helicopter ride. When we went to Lake Havasu with his brother, his sister-in-law, and his nephews, all 6 of us did a helicopter ride. So this has been something we've just done, and like the places we go. So I wasn't super like, oh, this is it. And then we got there, and I was kind of like, wait, could it be it? So then I look at his pockets, because I'm like, does he have the ring with him? I see nothing. And it's crazy because the ring box is probably this thick, no joke. And because it has like a little light in it, super thick. And he kept it apparently in his pocket the entire time. I literally intentionally looked trying to see. So I was like, okay, it's probably not happening. And then we get in the helicopter and we're like, we go like round, we like curve the strip. So we like drove up to the strip, went all the way around it, and we're headed back to the little airport. And I asked him, I was like, about like, how long is the ride? He goes, I think it's probably like around like 15 minutes. And so I'm like, okay, well, we're definitely headed back then. So like, it's not happening here. And again, it's not like like the helicopter ride is great. I'm not like disappointed. It was just like, okay, it's not happening. So we pull up and we start to get close. And again, at first I see nothing. And I'm like, okay, we're going back. Cool. We'll like go out tonight. We'll go to Top. I'm still thinking we're going to Top Golf. And then we land and there's a sign there and it says, marry me. But in my head, I'm like, what if that's not for me though? Because I've already convinced myself it's not happening. So I'm like, don't say anything or react because how embarrassing would that be if it wasn't for me? And then I look over and he's like recording me with his phone. So I was like, okay, it's for me. So we get out and he proposed in front of the sign and like got out of the helicopter and everything. And they took a video and we have like GoPro footage of like the actual ride and then him proposing because they turned like facing the sign when we landed. So it was really cool, super special. And then we went to Red Rock again and we ended up winning like $350 playing 3-card poker. So it was a great night. We went to a steakhouse and got some dinner at T-Bones at Red Rock. If you guys are ever looking for like a steakhouse off the strip, it is so freaking good. And they brought us a dessert that said congrats on the engagement. It was really cute. But that was my weekend update. So I'm now a fiance. But, segueing from that life update into more of what we're going to talk about today. When I first started my business, I was posting and stuff, but I started to become really enraged with some of the misinformation that would go around on social media. And it was clear that people were trying to get like likes and views and follows from freaking people out about things they didn't really need to be afraid of or misdirecting their attention to something that they weren't really at risk for. So one of the main things I remember seeing, this was like, I think within like my first year out of college. And I've already been like posting stuff, but this is really where I was like, I want to touch on all the myths with safety. I saw this reel and it was of somebody basically saying things you need to know in case you're trafficked was kind of like the gist of it. And it was like how to escape a trunk or if somebody tries to drag you into a van, like just off the wall shit that I knew was not fully accurate or even necessary. With most human trafficking, you're most at risk around the people you know. They look to create a relationship with you, and it's easier for them to psychologically manipulate, coerce, force you to do things than to actually like physically restrain you into trafficking. And truthfully, like most trafficking victims, if you went up to them asking them if they wanted help, number one, they know their trafficker, probably knew their trafficker, and their trafficker established some trust with them. Number two, they very well may not realize that they're actually being trafficked. And a lot of people don't until years after the fact when they get a little bit more education on it and see the situation more clearly because traffickers know how to psychologically manipulate their victims. And number three, you could even be putting them in more danger by asking if they do need that help. Seeing those kinds of videos to me are so enraging because it's taking your attention, putting it on something that is so blown out of proportion, especially for how it happens here in the US, and taking away from, hey, you actually should be really more concerned about the people that are close to you or these XYZ kinds of situations. And again, differentiating, it could be forced labor, it could be sex trafficking. Like, there's different ways these things happen. And traffickers are patient, and they're not lying under your car waiting to slash your Achilles tendon to kidnap you, which is another thing I hear all over the place. I actually saw this video this woman posted, and it was of like an Amazon package, like sitting out in, it was like a not like a driveway, but like a neighborhood, like street. And she was like, beware of this. This is a tactic that kidnappers and traffickers will use to like lure you out into the middle of the street and then kidnap you. And it's just like, what? And I don't think that everybody posts these things with like poor intentions. I genuinely just think that there's a lot of misinformation about it. So then people naturally draw those conclusions. But I do think also a lot of people enjoy the attention it brings to their page and to their posts. So it's really critical to have media literacy. And that's why we touch on a lot of myths in our classes, from trafficking to tactical items, like actual safety measures to take, physical self-defense. It's important, even hearing things from me, even the things that we are going to talk about today. I encourage you, go do your own research. Look these things up. Look for the facts. And if anything, when you go do that research, you're going to find experts and organizations coming out refuting that and talking about how it's an urban legend. So go do your own research. Do not take things at face value. So, with that being said, we're going to talk about 5 myths today that people may commonly hear. And again, your homework after this is go look it up yourself. Go find the sources. And if you want our sources, I am more than happy to share those with you after today. So, myth number 1, if someone spikes your drink, you'll taste or smell it. I will start off by telling you that most drink spiking substances are colorless, odorless, and tasteless. Specifically, 3 of the more common ones you're most likely to encounter aside from alcohol. People commonly might try to continue to kind of force alcohol upon you to get you highly intoxicated. The 3 substances I want to touch on: roofies, ketamine, and GHB. With these 3 substances, they can come not just as a pill form, but they can also come as white powders and even clear liquids. These things can be slipped into your drink so quick and fast, and whether or not your drink is like salty or your ice is sinking or floating or any of that shit, that's not telling you if your drink has been spiked reliably. You should really, if you see some kind of residue, for sure, don't touch your drink. More importantly, though, you have to have preventative measures because this is a really hard thing to identify. And a company we work with, Think Twice, they're a nonprofit, and that they talk about how only around 2% of spiking incidents actually get reported. It is so critical to just do your due diligence and have those safety habits in place, because when we're drinking, we're just not as alert or aware. And that's just the way that life works, right? So have those preventative measures in place if you can. And please, if you are going to go find like the nail polishes or whatever to test your drinks, make sure they're highly reputable. So with the drink spiking substances, 2 things I would recommend. Number 1, get some kind of drink cover. This is a nightcap. You may have heard of them before. You pull this piece out of the scrunchie. So you can just wear the scrunchie, regular on your wrist. You'll pull this piece out of it. The actual scrunchie is going to go around your cup here. Then you're going to take the top of it, and this is going to sit on top of your drink just to make it harder for people to slip something in your drink. And then you can put your straw in it right here. Really, really simple thing to utilize that highly reduces the risk somebody could come up and just easily put something in your drink, because now they're going to have to completely remove this whole cover. And I don't care if you think it looks funny. I promise you, when you're drinking, no one's paying attention, and it really does reduce the risk. I actually had one of my friends, she wasn't even drinking alcohol. It was a soda, and she had 2 drink spiking substances put in her drink. I believe it was roofies and ketamine, and she was feeling really weird and went to the ER, and they ended up having to pump her stomach, and it was given, and they told her it could have been a lethal dose. So really important. It was about a year and a half ago. She's in her 30s. Like, no one's immune to it, especially in college right now, going into the red zone from about the time you go back to school until Thanksgiving break, where there's an uptake in SA cases, and a lot of it does link back to alcohol. So please, please, please make sure you take those preventative measures. Next thing I highly recommend, like I said, not all drink testing strips are made the same. I've heard of straws and nail polish and stuff. You have to make sure that they are well tested and reputable and test for the right things. So Think Twice, again, like I mentioned, they're a nonprofit. They actually supply a lot of the California bars and clubs. And a couple years ago, I've been for a long time trying to find a really good brand to partner with that had well-tested, reputable strips. Could not find any. And then I finally came across Think Twice, and I reached out to them. They are the coolest people. And actually, ironically, the guy Justin that I communicate with, he lives in Washington State, where I'm from, and he knows the people that own the martial arts studio that I helped open as one of their head instructors. He knows the people that now run it, which is crazy small world. But again, please look for reputable ones. And Think Twice does give you 20% off through us. I believe the code is EverydayArmor20. We will double check that, and we'll have a link in the show notes for not only the drink testing strips, but also for the nightcap if you want one. So with these, you just take the strip out, You're going to drop your drink on the little patches right there, and then the back of the packaging is going to have a key to let you know if something is in your drink. You can make up an excuse like, oh, I'm so sorry, I have to run to the bathroom. Take your drink with you before you drink it, run to the bathroom. If you can, somebody brings you a drink and maybe you don't have your drink testing strips and you didn't watch it being made, safest bet, don't drink it. If you are going to drink it, at least add a little layer of safety, an imperfect one at that. It's not foolproof, but make them have the first sip. And if you don't feel comfortable with confrontation, if you're not going to set that boundary otherwise, make up an excuse. If it's a margarita, take it, smell it, tell them, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. This just like reeks of tequila and I don't love the taste of tequila. I don't want to throw up. Will you just like make sure it doesn't taste too strong? Make them have the first sip. If they're even remotely weird or off about it, just don't drink the drink, right? Get rid of it. Say you're going to go get something else, accidentally spill it. Make sure you try to dispose of it instead of just like keeping it sitting there. But again, it is really easy to spike a drink, and you have to make sure you're taking preventative measures, have those safety layers in place. And, we always say safety isn't one size fits all. Maybe one tip works for one person, one different tip works for another person. Have the things that you know you're going to do, have multiple layers of safety here. And another thing, you can always order an angel shot if you think something is weird, if you just even feel remotely off than what you're used to. Please just seek medical attention. Go get the help for it. And we'll talk about this later, but there are some things people will even recommend that aren't actually helpful for those things. You have to seek medical attention. And then one last thing here, please make sure that you do not leave your drink with friends. When you go to the bathroom, your friend's attention is, first of all, what's happening right in front of them, like a conversation, if you're listening to music, whatever it is. Second priority is probably their own drink. Their last priority is your drink. And that is no hate towards your friend. That is just the way humans work, the world works, alcohol works. They're not paying full attention to your drink. So please make sure, if anything, at least just put like a nightcap on it. If you want to live in an even safer world for yourself, take the drink with you, finish it, get a new one when you come back. Please try to avoid leaving your drink completely open with a friend and coming back and drinking it after you've been gone. Please, 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 please. All right, moving on to the next thing here. Myth number 2, pepper spray is always effective. Pepper spray can be effective. The hard thing though is if somebody is rushing at you and they have a mission, or they're intoxicated, or they've been previously exposed to pepper spray, it might make them more willing to tolerate and kind of like power through the pepper spray. There's also a chance they turned their head and it didn't hit them. There's the chance that you go to pull out your pepper spray and you're in fight or flight. You're possibly losing your fine motor skills and you're not able to effectively actually use it, or you drop it. You have to be able to quickly use it and be able to get yourself to a safe location before that person is able to physically compromise you. We run a drill in our classes where we'll have 2 people face away from each other, and one person's holding a practice spray, which is full of water. The other person, again, facing away from them, one person holding the spray. The person holding the spray is obviously the victim. Person sprinting is the perpetrator. So we'll say go, and the perpetrator sprints the person with pepper spray canister. Person with the pepper spray canister is trying to spray them and get to safety, run before the perpetrator reaches them. I see a lot that people, number 1, even though we just went over how to use it, they completely forget to run away. And number 2, I'll see where the person with the pepper spray sprints at the person, sprinting at them to spray them. You are more quickly closing the gap between you and a perpetrator. You want to maintain that distance and, again, be able to run and get to safety as fast as you can without them closing that gap. They can be highly motivated. You can, again, fumble your pepper spray. Know what you're looking for, know the MC rating of your pepper spray, know how far it shoots, how many bursts are in the canister, if it has things like UV dye, know the expiration date, know all of those things, know what it feels like to spray your pepper spray, and make sure you get practice canisters. We have a discount code for you for Safely. They're the ones that we use in our classes. So if you want practice sprays, I highly recommend grabbing theirs, and they fit into the same little like holder that their actual pepper spray does. So you can order it even as a bundle, and we'll link to it in the show notes as well. So I can't stress enough. Please practice with pepper spray. Get the practice canisters, they're cheaper. Again, they have water in them, and make sure that you are building some kind of muscle memory for pepper spray. In fight or flight, our bodies just don't work the same way you think they would. So again, it can be a great helper, a great solution. It can help incapacitate a perpetrator, but that doesn't mean you completely incapacitate them. And you have to make sure you can get to safety as well and that you practice with it. All right. Next thing here. Myth number 3. Do not walk alone at nighttime. Now, this is one where it's not necessarily like a myth per se, but it's so impractical. If you can avoid walking by yourself in the dark, great. And a lot of times that's just a situation that causes anxiety. So, if it makes you feel safer to go with somebody or go in the daytime, do that. But attacks still do happen in broad daylight. And sometimes it's not practical to completely avoid being by yourself in the dark. Think about wintertime when it gets dark, sometimes like 5 p.m. You might be getting off work and have to walk to your car. Maybe you work in a city. Maybe you have to walk home. Maybe you're running errands, or you got out of class late. There's a number of things that could make it so you have to walk by yourself in the dark. And even in the morning, you can't always avoid it. So our approach is more so, if you can do things to have someone with you or walk in the daytime and that makes you feel safer, do it 1000%. But you have to also have layers of safety if you do have to walk when it is dark outside. The biggest thing somebody's looking for is somebody who's distracted, where they can easily catch you off guard. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second here. But know the things that a perpetrator most commonly looks for and have your safety habits in place. And just like, it is okay if you need to walk by yourself in the dark. But, maybe if you are going to the grocery store, and instead of walking out with a bunch of groceries in your hands where you're focusing on not dropping them, your hands are completely taken, you can't really do much. If somebody were to come up to you, you opt for a cart. And now that could add, a barrier between you and a perpetrator, and your attention can more easily be focused on your actual environment and not dropping your groceries. Little things like that become, again, habitual, so you're not having to actively think about them all the time, but they can help you feel more safe and less anxious. Next thing, you'll be targeted for things like assault and stranger kidnapping based on how you're dressed or how you wear your hair. Now, I want to start by saying that, I commonly hear in my classes people saying, oh, you should wear bright colors, when you walk alone at nighttime. That is way more for traffic safety than it is for like personal safety or for somebody trying to kidnap you. Perpetrators often are going to look to have the element of surprise where they catch you off guard because you're distracted. They don't want you to have multiple exits. They want you to be kind of cornered. They want you to be isolated. Again, making sure that you're, not focusing on what's happening around you as much. They look for body language. Are you walking confidently? What's your posture like? Is your head up? That's what they're more commonly looking for than what you're wearing or the way your hair is. I guarantee you they're not looking for, oh, is she wearing a ponytail or is her hair down? And that being the first thing that they're seeing to size up if this is the right victim for them. They want someone who will go easily, who's not going to fight back, and who's probably not going to see it coming. So just keep that in mind when you're implementing your safety tips. We're not in the business of telling women that they can't express themselves or wear a fucking cute outfit if they want to. You're feeling good, you're feeling confident, and you want to go wear a cute outfit, you should be able to wear that. And the ironic thing is I'll hear things like, oh, you shouldn't wear baggy clothing because it's easy to grab onto. But in the same breath, I'll hear, don't wear tight clothing because it's too provocative. Those are not the number one things to do for your safety. Make sure, again, do your own research. Look to be confident, have your head up, know what's happening around you, take away the element of surprise, and limit distractions to what you can for your environment. That is far more important than whether or not you're wearing a V-neck shirt or not. And again, you should be able to live your life. You could do everything right. You could do all the fucking safety tips and shit can still go sideways. So you have to be able to live your life and still have fun and enjoy yourself. And the more you can start practicing these little things, the more it's going to be, like I mentioned, it's a habit. It's not something you're actively thinking about every time you have to walk by yourself in the dark, or every time you go out or every time you have a drink in a public setting. So just remember that. And Sometimes we try to make safety and self-defense this Hollywood-esque, big, elaborate, grand thing, when in reality, some of the best safety tips, like locking your doors, are the most effective at mitigating the risk a crime could occur. So just remember that and have those habits in place. Next thing here, last myth. Activated charcoal can prevent or lessen the effects of drink drugging or alcohol, or even sober you up faster. Now, like we talked about, most common drink spiking substances, GHB, ketamine, and roofies. Activated charcoal does not reliably bond to either of those, and it also doesn't reliably bond to alcohol, meaning it's not going to be highly effective at reducing the side effects and symptoms of those things. And you'd have to take it very, very quick after you've ingested the drink spiking substance. And as we talked about, it's very hard to tell if you've done that. So this is not a perfect solution. And if you take it too close to like taking another medication, it can also offset or lessen the effects of that medication. If you are taking birth control and then you go take activated charcoal and it's offsetting the effects of that, that could have potential negative side effects of that, So it's just really important to make sure that when you hear these kinds of things or these solutions that kind of seem like too good to be true, or how did I not ever hear of that before? Go do your research and just double check the information that you're hearing. And I actually have heard this a lot, like even from like experts, safety experts. I've heard this from influencers, popular influencers that talk about this, like with alcohol and stuff. And it's not a perfect solution. And with drink spiking substances, especially, you, again, and I can't stress it enough, you have to seek medical attention. If you feel off, please make sure that you are going to the ER, you're getting checked, you're getting proper care for that. Not trying to take activated charcoal, certainly not trying to give that to your friends. Take action immediately. So again, not highly reliable to bond to the most common substances. Maybe after, maybe to some, but again, not the most common ones, typically not to alcohol. And that shouldn't be what you're relying on to prevent symptoms of drink spiking. So that wraps up the 5 myths. Again, just to recap here, number 1, if someone spikes your drink, you'll taste or smell it. Number 2, pepper spray is always effective. Please just make sure that you practice with your pepper spray. I cannot stress it enough. Any item you carry, you could drop it. It could be used against you. You want that to be muscle memory. It should feel natural to you. Myth number 3, don't walk alone at night. Again, not necessarily like a myth, but something that is impractical. So you should have safety measures in place and like remind yourself that it's okay to be human and to live life. Number 4, you'll be targeted for things like assault and stranger kidnapping based on how you're dressed or how you wear your hair. And I just can't emphasize enough. You should be able to live your life, and your clothing, your hair, you should be able to express yourself. And there are other safety habits and measures and tips that you can put in place that keep you far more safe than wearing your hair in a ponytail or wearing it down. And last one, activated charcoal can prevent or lessen the effects of drink drugging or alcohol, or even sober you up faster. Please be careful where you get your information, even the information I've shared with you today. If you want our sources, I'd be happy to list them all off for you, but go do your own research. When you see things, especially things that like elicit this feeling of fear or anxiety or anything of the sort, a strong reaction from you, go do your research. You can look at experts that have opinions or things that they advocate for, where they have their research for it, but they think very differently about it. So go do your own research. Make sure you have all the information, and make sure, again, to have social media literacy. You have to always factor in that people are looking to get attention to their page. And the horrible thing is that a lot of times the ones that freak us out, those are the ones that go more viral, as opposed to the ones that actually talk about the truth with it. And then you look in the comments and everyone's like, thank you so much for, spreading this information and keeping us safe. And again, a lot of times it's inaccurate or it's not the full information. Be weary of certain people that post on social media that intentionally leave out details that leave your mind wandering so that you'll send those, videos or messages or posts or whatever to people. But I appreciate you guys as always listening. If you liked this format, please let us know. There's spots in the show notes for you to do that. And it's very helpful to us to kind of know what you want to hear so we can schedule the episodes accordingly and make sure that you are enjoying the podcast. And if there's any specific things that you want us to like break down or debunk, again, drop that down there and I'm happy to do that for you guys. But thank you for listening to my little life update. Again, be aware of what you're seeing online, and we will hopefully have more of these episodes debunking this stuff. If you guys are interested, we have the nightcap, the think twice during testing strips, and the safely pepper spray and practice sprays linked in the show notes. And please make sure that you get them and use. I think we have codes for all of those too. And again, we don't sit and advocate for things that we haven't done thorough research on, or like think twice. I reached out to them. I actually reached out to Nightcap as well. So a lot of these things we've done, the actual outreach to them, and we would never advocate for things that we have not thoroughly researched. Thank you guys for listening. Please remember, rate, review, subscribe, follow, all the things, and share this episode with a friend if you found it helpful. Let us know what you want to hear in the future. Look below in the show notes, and I will chat with you next time.